In the heart of the great Benin Empire stood Udo, a proud and ancient principality nestled by the Ōsè River. Known for its fierce warriors and deep traditions, Udo was both a guardian of the empire and a stronghold of age-old beliefs. It was ruled not by a king, but by customs passed down through centuries. One of the strongest of these customs was this: only virgins deserve bride price. It was not just a saying, it was law. A girl who lost her virginity before marriage was considered spoiled, no longer worthy of the gifts, the goats, the drinks, or the ceremonies that came with bride price. Fathers guarded their daughters like sacred shrines, mothers preached chastity like gospel, and daughters knew their value was measured in blood. 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐞𝐨, daughter of 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴 the blacksmith and 𝐕𝐢𝐝 the priestess, was the jewel of Udo. Her skin glowed like polished bronze, her eyes sparkled with fire, and her voice carried a gentle command. Boys turned their heads when she walked. Women envied her grace. But her greatest asset, as everyone often reminded her, was this: you are still untouched. Her father had already begun counting the bride price he would demand: 20 goats, coral beads, palm wine, and a generous dowry. Her mother often dreamed of the day 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴 would marry into royalty, but 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴 had her own dreams, the secret of the uloko tree. Behind the tall compound walls, beyond the yam fields, and past the sacred grove, there was a tall uloko tree where 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴 would often go to fetch water. It was there she met Osorobo. He was the son of a humble hunter, poor but strong and clever. He had no title, no goats to his name, and no hopes of paying a bride price. Yet his eyes held fire, and his laughter warmed her heart. What began as greetings grew into stolen conversations, secret smiles, and silent touches. "They say I'm not worthy of you," Osorobo said one evening. "Who are they?" She smiled. "Everyone, your father, the Enogi, the ancestors. Then let they come and stop me." That night, beneath the iroko tree, she gave herself to him. It was not fear or ignorance that drove her. It was choice, love. But in Udo, choices had consequences. The virginity test. News spread that Efosa, son of the Enogi of Ahor, wanted 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴's hand in marriage. He was a warrior with titles, lands, and warriors of his own. He brought a bride price, offering so heavy it took 3 days to carry. 𝐕𝐢𝐴 accepted joyfully. "My daughter is pure," he declared. "You will not find a more worthy wife." Tradition required that 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴 undergo a virginity test performed by the village matron, Agosa. Her fingers were feared, more than blades. She could detect truth in silence. On the day of the test, women gathered. Agosa led 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴 into the inner room. There was no ceremony, no speech, only silence. Then the verdict: she is not a virgin. Whispers became wails. The news spread like fire. The bride price was withdrawn. The gifts returned. Efosa left in shame. 𝐕𝐢𝐴 collapsed. 𝐕𝐢𝐴 wept for days. 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐴 was cast out of the compound, her name spat like bitter herbs. She was no longer a woman of value, alone and betrayed. With nowhere to go, she went to Osorobo. She expected open arms. Instead, she found a boy hiding behind cowardice. "I cannot marry you now," he said. "Why not?" "Your father will never allow it, and I have nothing to offer." "But you had enough to take." He looked away. She walked into the forest with tears that turned to rage. She found herself at the shrine of Ovia, goddess of truth and justice, the same goddess her mother served. Kneeling before the statue, she cried, "If you see me, hear me. Let my shame become their lesson. Let the truth of all women be known. Let no man use purity as a price." The wind howled, the ground trembled. She fainted, and something changed in Udo: the exposure. The next month, 𝐸𝐻𝐶𝐹𝐴, another praised virgin, was tested and declared pure. Her bride price was paid, but her husband found she was not untouched. Then Esohe, daughter of Chief Agatise, passed the test. Yet her lover confessed days later. Case after case, the matron's hands failed. Elders panicked. The Enogi summoned priests. Some blamed evil spirits. Others said Ovia was angry. The women began to murmur, 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 cursed us. But the brave ones said, no, she blessed us with truth. The bold return. 1 year later, during the Yam festival, 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 returned to Udo, dressed in white. People gasped. She went to the palace and demanded a hearing. I have a right to speak, she said. I carry no shame. The Inogi, curious and wise, allowed it. The council gathered, chiefs, elders, priestesses, titled men, warriors, and women of the land. 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 stood proudly. You say only virgins deserve bride price. Who decided this? Was it the gods or men? Silence. Who tests the men? Who asks if they are pure? Yet they demand women untouched while they roam freely. Murmurs. If a woman's worth is only her virginity, then you are not marrying a woman. You are buying silence. You are paying for shame. Chief Agatis shouted, this is blasphemy. She turned to him. Your daughter fooled the test. Should I call her lover here to speak? He fell silent. She continued, let bride price be based on merit, kindness, wisdom, strength, and partnership, not blood, not fear. Old 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿, the blind elder, spoke. She speaks with the spirit of Ovia. We must change. A new law. The council debated for days. In the end, a new law was passed. From this day in Udo, bride price shall not depend on virginity, but on the agreement of families and the merit of the bride. The old ways cracked like dry earth. Some resisted, others rejoiced. But the wind of change blew through Udo. 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 was offered gifts, titles, and even proposals. She refused them all. Osorobo returned, begging to marry her. She laughed. I am not a price. I am not a reward. I am 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿, woman, fire, and freedom. She left Udo, traveling from village to village, spreading her story, the flame of change. Today, in the forests of old Udo, women sing, 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿, daughter of fire. You broke the chain of shame. You turned pain into power and taught us. We are more than blood. The tradition still lingers in some places, but the seed she planted continues to grow. Because one girl dared to ask, if a man fears a woman's past, what does he truly bring to her future? And with that question, she changed the law. Forever, the whispering villages. As 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿 journeyed from village to village, she carried no staff or royal decree, only her voice and story. And yet, her presence stirred something deep in the hearts of women and men alike. In Ugoton, the priestesses invited her to speak before the moon festival. In Iwato, young girls crowded to hear her tale, their eyes wide with awe and hunger for change. In 𝐕𝐢𝐝, however, she met resistance. Chief Iridia, a stern and proud man with 6 wives, banned her from speaking in the village square. You are teaching rebellion, he shouted. Your ideas threaten the fabric of our land. But the wives of 𝐕𝐢𝐵, led by the bold Omoruyi, invited her into their homes instead. They listened in silence, and after she left, they began meeting in secret to speak of worth, freedom, and the burdens of silence. The seed had taken root, the men's council. Back in Udo, the Inogi and his council of elders noticed that something was shifting. Men who once boasted of their conquests began to fear the weight of 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿's words. At the annual men's gathering, the council met in the great hut, drinking palm wine and murmuring. Chief Agatis spoke. What happens when our daughters refuse to be judged by virginity? What next? They will refuse our rules, our names, even our gods. But Elder Asimoda, gray-haired and slow to anger, replied, what good is a rule that only shames and destroys? We taught our girls that their value is in what they did not do, and now they grow up afraid, hiding, pretending. Is that how we build strong families? A silence fell. For the first time, the men did not laugh. They did not argue. Even the old ways, they realized, were not eternal if they birthed injustice. The return of the matron. Years passed, and 𝐈𝐢𝐝𝐿, the old matron who once tested the virginity of young brides, fell ill. On her deathbed, she called for 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐞𝐨. "I judged you wrongly," she rasped. "I was only doing what I was taught. I never asked why." 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶 knelt beside her. "You were not the only one," she said gently. 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶 wept. "I wish I could undo the shame I brought." "You can," 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶 whispered. "Let your story be told. Let others know that even the enforcers of tradition can change." And when 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶 passed, she was buried not in disgrace, but with honor, for admitting her wrongs and helping to heal what she had once helped break. Chapter 11. A Legacy of Fire. Years later, 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶 no longer needed to walk from town to town. Her story spread faster than she could travel. Elders debated her name, poets praised her in verse, and the Oba himself heard whispers of the girl from Udo who changed the laws of marriage. One day, a young woman named 𝐸𝐸𝐴𝐸𝐸, born in 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶, came to Udo with a scroll in hand. She had written the first women's code of conduct, not based on purity, but on strength, wisdom, and respect. At the center of her scroll she had written, "Inspired by 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶, Flame of Udo." The Enogi wept when he read it. He ordered a statue carved in her likeness, not of a bride, not of a goddess, but of a woman standing tall, head high, with an open palm and a fire beside her. It stood at the entrance of Udo till the empire itself fell to the winds of time, but the story never faded. To this day, in the far-flung villages of old Benin, when girls are told to be ashamed of their past, the elders tell them instead, "Remember 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐶. She was not a virgin, but she was priceless." And that is enough.